How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now, for a while, we've been looking for a laptop that's great for traveling and gaming. However, for it to be great on those 2 points, we need a reasonably lightweight body, but that's still robust. It does need to have a high refresh rate monitor, top tier specs that also won't overheat under a heavy load, and also I really want a mechanical keyboard in a laptop, which is kind of hard to get these days. Well, Aorus said, "We got you, son," and they sent over the Aorus 15G, which meets pretty much all of those requirements, but we'll get into all of that right after this. I have a dream that one day South Africa will no longer stand for subpar customer service. I have a dream that our PC parts will arrive at our homes in eco-friendly packaging, the prices will be great, and will be updated on our orders every step of the way. This dream is now reality. It's DreamwareTech.co.za. So get your new shiny tech today and experience the dream for yourself. Now, starting off with the specs and the pricing, our unit here does have a 10th generation i7, 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, and a RTX 2070 Super Max Q. It is currently retailing for around $2,200 or 48,000 Rand for here in South Africa, but you can also take that up to an i9 and an RTX 2080 Super Max Q. Now, all of that is inside a laptop with a 15.6-inch display that's also only 25mm thick. Build quality wise, it is apparently CNC'd aluminum, but it almost feels like it's a plastic because it doesn't get that cold to the touch compared to some of the other laptops that I've used. I honestly do quite like that. But even if it is plastic, it still feels very sturdy and it keeps that premium look and design. Also, I am happy to see that it doesn't show fingerprints pretty much at all, so it does keep that nice clean look. As for the weight, it is quite light at only 2.2 kilograms, which does make it perfect for that gaming traveling companion. As for the I/O, you do get plenty of that around the body. However, they are kind of spaced close together, and it does get a bit cluttered when you have most of the ports populated. I also didn't like that the AC port was on the right side because it is a bit irritating if you do have your mouse connected there as well with the cable hanging around the side. I do personally like it when it's a bit more on the back or on the left side. But I do honestly appreciate that they did include a full-size UHS 2 SD card reader, especially for some content creators like us. Now, moving on to the keyboard, when lifting up the display, which you can also do with a single finger, you are greeted with a full-size per key RGB backlit keyboard, which can be controlled through Gigabyte of Fusion software. Now, again, this is a mechanical keyboard that does use AUROS mechanical switches, which is actually quite cool and very nice for typing and gaming. However, they are a bit clicky and you might bother people around you if you are in a very populated area. But in all honesty, I don't really care that much because gaming on it was a delight, with the switches having that nice tactile feel that you get from Blues, but that still has a actuation point of only 1.6mm for quick activation. The keycaps do also have a nice large font on them, which is easy to see and also allows the RGB to shine through seamlessly. The keys are also spaced pretty well, where it didn't feel too cramped, especially because it is a full-size keyboard on a 15.6-inch model. Now, as for the trackpad, you do get a more standard size trackpad, but that does have a very good tracking and also integrated buttons. Also, if you wanted to use that, you do have a fingerprint reader included on the trackpad for some quick logins. Now, as for the built-in speakers, they were pretty decent, with it featuring 2 2-watt speakers. However, they do sound a bit muddy, but for just watching movies or playing some games casually, it should honestly be fine, and I would always recommend you just get a headset anyway. Now, as for the screen, it is a full HD IPS XO display that runs at 240 Hz. However, you can also get a 300 Hz panel as well for some hardcore FPS gamers. As for the quality of the display, it does have a max brightness of only 250 nits, which isn't crazy bright, but it does have some good color accuracy, being pre-calibrated by X-Rite Pantone. It covers 100% of the sRGB color gamut and has a Delta E rating of below 1. Also, just like the majority of AUROS' laptops, you get that very thin bezels thanks to the 720p nostril viewing webcam placed at the bottom. I know a lot of people complain about that, but I honestly would rather have a thinner bezel than a webcam. And also, if you were wondering about Mr. FBI guy spying on you, you do have a privacy slider that you can slide closed to keep yourself private. But even with that, it was a blast to game on, and especially with that 240Hz, not to mention the 300Hz display, it does give a noob like me a bit of an edge above the rest of the competition, so I do appreciate that. As for the productivity side, we did actually use this laptop to edit a couple of our videos on, and thanks to that 8-core 16-thread i7, it handled pretty much everything seamlessly. We just needed a bit more memory. The 16 gigs was just lacking a tiny bit. But now, even though the 15G is quite thin, again at only 2.5 millimeters, it did also stay pretty cool. The GPU only went up to around 70 degrees. However, the i7, just like most Intel CPUs, did jump up into the high 80s, where it did clock it down a bit from the 5 GHz to around 3 GHz under a heavy Blender workload. But that was still plenty of horsepower thanks to the 8 cores on this CPU. But something worth mentioning is that just like the majority of AUROS' laptops, the fans do get quite loud. Then finally, for a power, you do get a 230 watt power adapter. That's also not too large really, and a 94 watt hour battery that will last up to around 5 hours on casual use, watching some movies and videos, and just get you more than an hour if you're gaming or video editing. It's still not the greatest, but that is the limitation on the majority of gaming laptops. However, you will be able to get a bit more battery life out if you do lower the brightness and turn pretty much everything off. So then in conclusion, the Aorus 15G is definitely a valid option if you are looking for a gaming laptop that you can take on the go with you. Except if you are going to take it to a library maybe, because again the fans do get a bit loud and that mechanical keyboard is also a bit on the louder side. But anywhere else it'll work great. So a big thanks to AUROS South Africa for sending it over for review. If you guys want to get it for yourself, I will leave links in the video description. Also, if you guys enjoyed this review, please like, share, and comment like always, and we'll check all of you next time. Cheers guys.